Welcome into First and Goal, presented by the Clutch Gene. My name is Kyle Layton. His name is Connor Hogan. He's got 4 downs, 4 questions to answer. Let's get right into things. We are starting with First and Goal. Monday Night Football against the Raiders and Ravens. I have a little bias, but if it wasn't for Thursday Night Football, I think this would have been the game of the week. Basically, the Raiders defeat the Ravens in overtime, kick a field goal to win the game. Crazy sequence of events. I'm just going to get your initial reaction to it, Connor. What did you think of that game?
It was crazy. To be totally honest, even with the Ravens injuries, I expected the Ravens to fare much better than they did. I think we all know that the Raiders defense isn't bad. It's definitely gotten a lot better. I still thought the Ravens would kind of walk away with this one a little more than they did. I actually didn't watch the second or third quarter of this game. I watched the first quarter, just went and did something else for, half the game, then came back with 10 minutes left in the fourth. Saw that it was tied, and I was like, okay, I guess we're going to watch this thing out. I mean, I thought it was going to be a different score than it was, but I'm really happy I did because the rest of that game was incredible, to say the least.
Correction, Raiders didn't kick a field goal. They were going to kick a field goal, didn't, came out, threw the touchdown, won the game. So they ended up winning 33-27. I have a point to get into on this about Lamar Jackson, but I'll go over the Raiders stuff first. Derek Carr, 34 for 56, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He actually played really well. I'm definitely in the Derek Carr's overrated camp, but he played reasonably well. Raiders couldn't really run the ball at all, but they passed it all over the field. Darren Waller had 10 catches. He had to have had close to 20 targets. Had to have, because it seemed like every down they were targeting him. I think it was in the second quarter, and he already had like 9 targets in the game, and I was like, what the hell is going on here?
And most of the ones that weren't catches were like overthrows, or he was just blanketed and Carr tried to force it in. It wasn't like it was just so many throws, and rightfully so. I mean, Darren Waller is an incredible receiving tight end, so right. I don't blame him for it, but wow.
On a side note, did you know that Darren Waller is 29 years old? That's a lot older than I thought he was.
Well, he also played, like, people thought he just started playing for the Raiders. I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure he played for a team before he played for the Raiders.
Let me look that up real quick here. Occupy space while I do that. Occupy sound.
Yeah. I think the big thing, also, Hunter Renfrow, incredible game. He's just been he's the safety blanket for Derek Carr. And I think that's come in very helpful when you have Darren Waller, who's more of a deep threat, and Henry Ruggs, who's also, a deep threat, and that's kind of his only thing. But Hunter Renfrow becoming that safety blanket for Derek Carr, I think, is huge for that offense, especially with Josh Jacobs not playing well. And then from what I was hearing, it sounded like Josh Jacobs wasn't 100% in that game. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that going forward as well.
Yeah, Darren Waller got drafted by the Ravens. Let me just check to make sure he was drafted. 6th round in the 2015 draft by the Ravens. Spent 2 years there. Joined Oakland in 2018. The first 3 years of his career, he totals 18 receptions total. And then 2019 comes around and he gets 90 catches, 1,100 yards, and now he's one of the top 5 tight ends in the league, I would say. He had 19 targets yesterday. I'm seeing that right now. He had a great game. Derek Carr played really well, surprised me. But the one thing I want to get into, after the game, all I heard, and from certain people in particular, you know who you are, I'll give you a hint, it's the people I do the other podcast with, saying, oh, Lamar Jackson this, Lamar Jackson that, he's overrated, he can't throw, he's not. Mookie went so far, who is on the other show, went so far as to say he's not it. He's cool and all, but he's not it, as if the Ravens should move on from him. And I just could not take it. I was like, are you serious? Lamar Jackson played reasonably well. He turned over the ball twice, or 3 times. No, twice. Twice. He fumbled twice.
3 fumbles, 2 lost.
Yeah. Um, he fumbled the ball twice. You got to hang on to the ball. I said it to you when that happened. You got to hang on to the football. You got to find a way. But to say Lamar Jackson has been anything less than incredible these past couple of years is just I don't even know what to say. It's just wrong. Like, that's all it is. And I'm about to go into a big spiel. I'm going to go way off topic here for a second. But Lamar Jackson, in the past 3 years, so this is including this last game, but it's excluding his rookie year, because for quarterbacks, the rookie year is a learning experience. So you can kind of eliminate that from anybody's resume and see what they are after that, obviously, except for sophomores in the league. Since his rookie season ended, so since his second year on, 63 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 197.4 yards per game, and 65.2% completion percentage, and 7.6 yards per attempt. That's just passing stats. And people tell me he can't throw. He's 24-7 as a starter. Again, this is excluding his rookie year. If I added his rookie year to actually be better, he'd be like 30-8, because I think he went 6-1 down the stretch with them. He's had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons. He's the first player since Michael Vick in 2006 to do that. And he's the only quarterback to ever do it twice. Rushed for 1,200 yards in a season. He has 14 rushing touchdowns and 74.1 rushing yards per game. He's 24 years old, the youngest MVP ever, one of the greatest individual regular seasons we've ever seen. And he's I think anybody would agree with this, he's one of the most special athletes we've ever seen on a football field. The Lamar Jackson slander has to stop. It just has to. I get it. All right, if you want to talk about his playoff stats, I'll be the first one to tell you they're not great. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, and a 1-3 record, including a loss as a favorite and when he was league MVP. That's got to be improved on. All right, he's just got to be better. You can't say anything else other than that. He's just got to be better in the playoffs. But let's not act like we haven't seen quarterbacks before that were great in the regular season and didn't do it in the playoffs, and they ended up doing it in the playoffs. You know, I know this is the most cliche example ever, but Peyton Manning comes to mind. You know, could not do it for years. And it's cliche, I know, but I'm sure there's, I can't name off the top of my head, but there's other quarterbacks that did really well, were really good regular season quarterbacks that just couldn't do it in the playoffs. Not everyone comes into the league like Tom Brady, wins a Super Bowl your first time as a starter. Mahomes, you know, not everyone's Mahomes. And that's why I think that he gets so much slander, is because he's constantly compared to Patrick Mahomes unfairly and kind of subconsciously, because they always say, oh, he can't throw outside the numbers. I don't know about you. I know you didn't watch the whole game, but I saw Lamar Jackson make some really great throws yesterday in that game, including outside the numbers. When he's on the run, I can test that there is no one better in the league than him at throwing on the run. You know, he's at least a top 3 in that category. Yeah, he dances around a little too much. Sometimes he leaves the pocket a little early, but it's just stuff you're going to have to take if you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. That's why he's so incredible, is because he can escape and make those plays. You know, he was pressured 54% of the time the other day. I saw a stat that in comparison, Patrick Mahomes was pressured 52% of the time in the Super Bowl, and we thought Patrick Mahomes got crushed. You know, the only reason we're not saying that about Lamar Jackson is because nobody can touch the guy. You know, he runs around. There's no one on the field. We all over Twitter were applauding Max Crosby because he took a good angle on Lamar Jackson and managed to somewhat keep up. You know, if Lamar Jackson didn't run out of space, he would have turned the corner on him. You know, if the sideline was extended 5 yards, he would have turned that corner and still beat him. Like, this guy is so incredible. And it's frustrating to see people trash on Lamar Jackson for no good reason. Like I said, I get the playoffs. You can say all you want about the playoff stats. 100% true. He has to be better. But, like, for someone to say he's not the Ravens starting quarterback going, he can't win you a Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. From what I've seen, if that guy can just translate what he does in the regular season to the playoffs, he could easily win a Super Bowl. You know, just run through teams. And another argument that comes up is, oh, what if he gets hurt? What if he gets this, that? Okay, I have yet to see anyone really touch him, And you mentioned it yesterday, how it was close. There were a couple times in the Monday night's game where it was close and he did almost get hit. But no one can touch the guy. Like, he doesn't get hit. Russell Wilson runs around the same way, and we don't say anything about it. But Lamar Jackson's just better than him at it, And I get it. Russell Wilson's a much better thrower of the football. I'm not comparing him to Russell Wilson. But all I'm saying is this guy gets way too much flack for how good he is. He can throw, but he's never going to be Mahomes, People expect him to be some incredible passer. It's a trade-off. If he was such an incredible passer, he would have gone 1-1 overall. There's a reason he went 32. It's because he's special with his legs. And you need to just take that and be like, okay, this is what it is. He's not going to be the greatest thrower in the league, but he can throw at a high enough level to compete. And he's just a special athlete. There are probably 29 teams in the league that would take Lamar Jackson as their starter right now. And that's my rant about Lamar Jackson. I've just heard way too much slander over the past couple of days and the past couple of years. People have been saying this, that he's a fraud. His MVP wasn't deserving. The guy's incredible. And to say he's anything less than incredible is, he's 24 years old. Yeah, and we're acting like he's 33 and has no room to improve. He's 24. So that's my rant. And if you want to say anything on that.
No, I agree. I think he's exponentially improved throwing the ball since his rookie season. Obviously, with his legs, untouchable, pretty much. I think, if we start seeing more guys, big physical, fast guys in the secondary, I think it will become more dangerous for him to run into the secondary, into the second level. But with that happening, I think he's still going to be doing incredible things. My one thing on Lamar is he puts himself in bad situations sometimes towards the end of games. And that may be because at sometimes he tries to do so much for that team that he tires himself out. And that's when he ends up making some mistakes. We saw it at the end of Monday night's game, the fumble that sealed the game for the Raiders. And that is my one thing on Lamar, is that sometimes he tries to do so much for that team that he puts himself in situations where he might not perform as well as he could because he's tired from running, from trying to make everything work. I looked this up. He had 3 fumbles on Monday night, lost 2 of them. Since his rookie year, since 2018, he has the second most fumbles by a quarterback in the NFL, right behind Carson Wentz. And that is solely because of what I just said. He puts himself in situations where he's tired, where he tries to do too much. And I think at that point in the games, he just ends up not making smart decisions all the time. Like you said, he's 24 years old. He's got tons of time to improve. And there's nothing to say that, oh, he's not this, he's not that. He's a freak of an athlete. A freak of an athlete. We saw Michael Vick. We were real little when Michael Vick was good. And I think we missed out on seeing how good Michael Vick really was. You watch highlights, but when you watch that live in a game, it changes things. And we're seeing it again with Lamar at even a higher level than Michael Vick did. And it's just, you're right. The slander's going to stop. We know he makes mistakes. Every quarterback makes mistakes. But when you're that type of quarterback, you're inviting them just a little more because you use your legs more. You are much more relied upon by the team because you are considered a true dual threat quarterback. Like, there's got Russell. We can talk about Russell a little bit. Deshaun Watson does it sometimes. Even Patrick Mahomes will take off from time to time to get a first down. But when you are a true dual threat quarterback, a guy who can huck the ball and make any play you want with his legs, whether it's rolling out to make a throw or taking off with his legs, there's no one in the league. And it's just going to get better. I think, obviously, I want to give Max Crosby a little bit of credit, but also he just absolutely bullied Villanueva on that side. And I think we can all agree that Villanueva isn't what he was on the Steelers. But, Max Crosby did have a hell of a game. He kept Lamar in check for the most part. where he could. Yeah, Lamar is Lamar. You're not going to stop him until you get a secondary that can keep up with him. I'm not worried about defensive lineman and linebacker stopping Lamar. I need a secondary, especially most importantly, probably a free safety, a Jesse Bates type of free safety who can come up, lay this hit stick on Lamar, or at least contain him to the point where Lamar actually has to think, like, okay, if I do make this run, and that guy's sitting up there, I got to watch out. I might have to start sliding more. I might have to do stuff like that. But until that happens, it's, he's going to go unchecked like he has.
Yeah. I think that the whole Lamar is one hit away from being injured thing is the dumbest argument on earth because from not being good, because you could say any quarterback is one hit away. But, if Patrick Mahomes takes one bad hit to his shoulder, he loses his throwing ability, guess what? What are you going to do? And it's harder to come back from something like that, a shoulder injury. We've seen players come back from a torn ACL. That won't, anything like that can happen. Unless, God forbid, knock on wood, something where he has like some kind of catastrophic knee injury. Okay, but how often do those things happen? Especially to the quarterback, the most protected position in football. Like you said, he does make mistakes. I think the tired part, I'm not sure about, but definitely he tries to do too much part, for sure. Because like Monday, the fumble. Any other quarterback is getting rid of that, But Lamar Jackson is trying to dance his way out of there, ends up making a mistake, fumbling the ball, they lose the game. It's just stuff you have to live with when you have a dual threat quarterback like that. Sometimes they're going to try and make the extra play. Josh Allen does this all the time. Where he tries to do too much, it results in something bad, and all of a sudden momentum is flipped. And Josh Allen is electric, when you have quarterbacks that are super, super, like, big play waiting to happen, electric players, sometimes mistakes are going to happen, and you just have to live with it. You just live to fight another day. The Ravens aren't going to go 0-17 because Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball week 1, because he's going to make plenty of more plays down the road this season that are going to place his team in a winning position. It's the trade-off. You have an electric player, some stuff's going to happen, and it's not always going to go your way. And that's just, that's the life of living with a player like that. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, his first season, I would say Patrick Mahomes is very smart with the ball now, but his first season, he could make a mistake, something happens, flips the momentum, Lamar Jackson, those types of players, it's not like he's Jameis Winston over here throwing 30 interceptions in a season, he's still making great plays. Do you have anything else to say about the Raiders and Ravens?
No, awesome game. I think it showed us a lot about the Raiders as well. A lot about the Ravens. Hopefully they get that running game going without, relying on Lamar too much. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. Excited to see where the Raiders go. I think they finally put a team together over there in Vegas, and we know the Ravens are the Ravens. They're going to pull stuff out. They're going to be a great team going down here. It's the start of the season. It's week 1. Let's keep it going, see where we get.
Concerning secondary for the Ravens, their secondary was not good that game, and they're supposed to have one of the deeper groups in the league at corner in particular. So we'll see what happens with that. But like you said, I don't have any concern for the Ravens. The Raiders are probably going to be one of those teams like they are every year where they start off hot and they taper at the end and miss playoffs somehow. They're always, it seems like the Raiders, especially in the past couple of years, have been that team that starts out like 6-2, 6-0, something like that, 4-2, looking really good, and they finish the season like 8-9, So we'll see what happens with that. All right, moving on. 2nd and goal. We're going to talk about the young quarterback performances from this weekend. Mainly going to focus on rookies and second-year players. Just quickly going over them. Jalen Hurts, 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. Justin Herbert, 337 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Joe Burrow, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tua Tagovailoa, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Trevor Lawrence, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Zach Wilson, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And Mac Jones, 281 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. I didn't include Trey Lance in here, even though he did get a rep because he didn't actually start. And I also didn't include Justin Fields. So, Connor, who would you say was the most effective this weekend?
The most effective, I think Jalen Hurts. I mean, I think after this game, Philadelphia has to stop hating on Jalen. They have to, right? Like, you can't go at this point and be like, Jalen Hurts, isn't what we need, isn't what we're looking for. He had a great game. Like, we're at the point now where, much like, obviously, he's earlier in his career than Lamar is, you have to give the guy some credit. He can throw the ball well. He can make plays with his legs if he needs to. And I think this Eagles offense actually has something going on. They're going to be able to score some points. We saw it happen. Obviously, they didn't play against an incredible defense, but we got to look at something here and be like, okay, Jalen Hurts isn't the guy who's going to get booted out of Philly, in a year. I think he's going to be given a chance. I hope he gets given a chance that he's going to go forward and be the starter for this team for a few years to come. And I really think after this game, he might have proved that a little more to both Philly fans and NFL people in general.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts had a great game. I don't think there's any argument that he had the best performance regardless of team they were playing. I mean, 4 touchdowns speaks for itself. He also had the 74 yards on the ground, so that brings him over 300 total yards of offense. I would say I was most impressed with Justin Herbert on the Chargers, just because of the team they were playing. The Chargers were facing the Washington football team, who has a great defense notoriously. Chase Young was shut down by Rashawn Slater. We have to give him a shout out because Rashawn Slater was really, really good that game, especially against that front. And we know what Chase Young does. We know what kind of guy he is. But Justin Herbert, given the circumstances, that team, the Washington football team is more than just their pass rush. Their secondary is not bad, So I know 1 touchdown, 1 interception doesn't light up the box score, but just the fact that he went in there, performed well. I think he threw over 31 of 47. Super effective, efficient performance by him against a really good team. I was most impressed by him. You had something to say about Zach Wilson?
Yeah. So Zach Wilson, they play Carolina, they lose. Sam Darnold, by the way, had a great game. Sam Darnold played really, really well. Zach Wilson comes out, goes 20 for 37 for 258, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And we come out of the other side of this game, and there's people saying he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in 3 years. And 1, where did that come from? 2, why? First off, he plays for the Jets. Let's get one thing straight. I understand the Jets have decent pieces receiving. They don't have anything else. 2, he got sacked 6 times and hit 9 times. They don't have an offensive line. They don't really have a light up your mind offense. And people are like, oh, he'll be top 5 in 3 years. So we have Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert will be up there. Like, you're telling me he's going to break the top 5 with those guys in 3 years? That's ridiculous. Like, you're going to say a guy on the Jets who haven't had a legitimate quarterback in our lifetimes. Sorry, Sanchez. But, like, you can't just come out after a game where he loses and gets sacked 6 times and say he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in 3 years. That just doesn't, that is the biggest overstatement I think I've seen from a rookie quarterback after one game in years. I don't understand where that kind of came from. I don't know if you heard that, but that's what I saw on a few things, and it just didn't make any sense at all.
I didn't hear anything about him being a top 5 quarterback in 3 years, but I definitely people were pretty high on Zach Wilson after that second half because his first half was horrendous, really bad, and he came back in the second half and he played a lot better. Ended up throwing 2 touchdowns. You bring up a valid point about how he's on the Jets, and the Jets haven't had a relevant guy. He might have to even go beyond 20 years, you know? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
are we calling Chad Pennington relevant, you know?
No.
Good guy, good, okay quarterback, but let's be honest with ourselves here. Um, he plays for the Jets. Jets have good pieces, but they are the Jets. The Jets will be the Jets. Um, I think he's got a lot of talent, but we've seen guys with a lot of talent fail before. I don't think he'll be a Jamarcus Russell and just completely flop out of the league. That's not going to happen. I think that something has to be said, kind of focusing on all young quarterbacks, about how we haven't had a massive level bust at the quarterback position in a long time. You know, I mean, Josh Rosen is the first one that comes to mind. He's probably the most recent, and he never really got a chance. I don't think. I mean, granted, Josh Rosen, if he was talented, he would have already played. He would be on a team right now and be a starter. But I'm saying those instances of like your top pick just being flat out garbage do not happen very often anymore. Even RG3, who people deem as a bust, he won Rookie of the Year. He was super effective his first year. He just couldn't stay healthy to save his life. You know, we don't get those massive level busts anymore. Think of over the past 10 years, or let's not go 10 years, but maybe 5 years, and think of a quarterback that has been a bust in the last 5 years. Is Josh Rosen it?
Uh,
This would be
Johnny
2016.
Manziel.
Johnny Manziel was bad.
So Johnny Manziel, Josh Rosen, I was not hyped about coming out of college.
Oh, I was.
At all. I don't know.
That was one of my coldest takes ever.
I didn't. I watched a couple of those games. I was watching Oregon a lot at the time, and I was like, "Where are they getting this?" Like UCLA had a fine team, but I was like, "Okay, you're playing in the Pac-12. You're not really going against any elite off defenses in the Pac-12 outside of Oregon, and every once in a while, Washington will have a really good defense. You're not really playing against everyone great. USC was absolutely terrible at that time. Arizona was terrible. ASU was terrible. So you're not looking at anything important. And everyone's like, oh, Josh Rosen, he's the next great thing. And then, yeah, one, he wasn't given a shot. But two, when he did play, he wasn't good. And then you go back to Johnny Manziel, again, absolutely electric in college. One of the most fun players I've ever watched in a college game. But wasn't like at any point was it like, okay, this guy's going to translate amazingly to the NFL. Johnny Manziel was this like just electric fireworks show on the field, but it wasn't like none of it was planned. It was this controlled chaos of Johnny Manziel running everywhere. He gets the Browns, which were even a bigger mess than they are, when Baker went there. And you're like, what is going on? So yeah, we've had 2 of those busts in the last 10 years. But yeah, like
5
you said,
years.
we
Because
haven't
if we go 10
5
years,
years,
I can
yeah.
think of Jake Locker and what the guy
Yeah.
Christian Ponder on the Vikings.
Yeah.
But think of the quarterbacks we've had over the past couple. I mean, we have Jalen Hurts looks pretty good. Justin Herbert looks pretty good. Joe Burrow looks pretty good. Tua, I know we haven't talked about him yet, but I was really impressed with what Tua did this past weekend. He had moments where you were like, wow, this guy is, I can see it. I can really see it in him. He also had his moments where he was, you were like, what are you doing? Or that wasn't great, but you could see it in him. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the golden child. We obviously haven't seen it yet, but we'll see. Mac Jones looked pretty good. Lamar Jackson, obviously, we've already talked about him extensively. Baker Mayfield looks pretty good. Sam Darnold had a rejuvenating year a rejuvenating game at the Panthers. He now looks like he could be pretty good. Josh Allen obviously is incredible. Kyler Murray was well deserving of 1-1. I mean, what team wouldn't take Kyler Murray right now? So we've had a really good run of quarterbacks. And like I said, Josh Rosen's really the only guy you can point to. Granted, we haven't seen these other rookies play, but he's the only guy you can point to and be like, that guy's a bust. Even Jordan Love. Jordan Love hasn't even gotten a chance yet. We don't know. He could be
He
decent.
played pretty well in the fourth quarter. When he went in that Packers Saints game, he didn't do poorly.
He went 5 for 7. So
yeah.
We've had a really good run of quarterbacks. And even, we're talking about Josh Rosen as a bust. He's still bounced around the league as a backup, So his name is always being pulled up. So I think we've had a good run of quarterbacks.
Yeah, we really have. And talking about the guys who played on Sunday, obviously everyone plays well. Mac Jones had a great game. Starting Tua, like you said, looked good at times, didn't look great at other times. They pull out a win. The Patriots have some really bad fumbling problems at the end of that game, which lost that game for them. The one I'm really concerned about, which I didn't think I would be, even as bad as the Jags are, is Trevor Lawrence.
I was just about to say that.
28 for 51 for 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. He was rushed a lot back there. That team is not good. Also, it sounds like Urban Meyer doesn't even want to coach that team anymore. It sounds like Urban Meyer wants to go back to Ohio State. So that's not good at all. You rebuild, you go out, you get Jones, you pick up Lawrence, you get ETN, who's out for the season, and then your head coach goes, I don't want to do this anymore, and wants to go back to college. Also, good on Tyrod Taylor for coming out and putting on a show for the Texans. But yeah, you come out with Trevor Lawrence. He throws 51 times in his first game ever in the NFL. Yeah, he throws for 3 touchdowns. That's not a good start for a rookie quarterback in their first game in the NFL. That is concerning.
To put it in perspective, Tom Brady, in what was a shootout against the Cowboys, only threw 50 times, and he's a 20-year vet of the NFL, I was just about to say I'm on the same wavelength as you. I'm not concerned about Trevor Lawrence as far as his talent and his ability to play goes. I think he showed that he is, granted, it didn't start out great, but he showed he's capable, And I think we all know he's capable. He's been hyped up for the past 6 years. Someone who's been hyped up for that long, since they were 14 years old, it doesn't just bust when they get to the league, I'm concerned more because the team around him and the coaching staff is just not good. Urban Meyer, we might be overreacting. You don't know, because it is the first week, but Urban Meyer does not look like a NFL coach. He is a college coach through and through. He's been rumored to the USC job, and he keeps saying no, no, no. Nick Saban said no, no, no to the Alabama job when he coached Florida, and guess what happened? We're on year 13 of Nick Saban being dominant.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about Trevor Lawrence as far as talent goes. What's that?
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all about Trevor Lawrence's ability to play quarterback. I'm concerned about how quickly they're going to put him in a very bad position in Jacksonville. Whether it's, all right, okay, so let's say Ohio State had incredible run games with Urban Meyer. You had Zeke, you had all these incredible running backs. They also usually threw it 40 to 40. Yeah, they also usually threw it 40 to 50 times a game, right? If Urban Meyer's bringing that kind of play style to the NFL and Trevor Lawrence ends up throwing it 40 to 50 times every single game, one, I'm not, like you said, not concerned about his talent. It's concerned about how he's going to look after a 17-game season and throwing it 500 times, right? And that offensive line is terrible. He's going to get lit up. We understand he's a big dude, but you start throwing the ball that much and getting hit that much, it turns into issues, whether it's lots of interceptions, injuries, or whatever else it's going to be. That is very concerning for NFL fans in general, because I don't think anyone wants Trevor Lawrence to be bad in the NFL.
No, it's the Andrew Luck scenario. You know, it's he comes to a team that's relatively talentless, throws a ton, gets hit a ton because they can't protect him. He's always in these shootouts because they can't play defense. And I mean, Andrew Luck was the last golden child, and he only lasted until 2019, and he was drafted what, 2012? So he lasted 7 years in the league,
Yeah.
6 years, and that was after a comeback player of the year season. Yeah, I just look at this. I just look at this Jaguars roster. I mean, DJ Chark, everybody is super high on, thinks he's a number one. I have yet to see it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know where all this hype is coming from. How long has he been in the league, and he hasn't played up to number one standards?
2 or 3 years.
You know, I think especially with the receiving core that they have in Jacksonville, if you're a one, you would stand out by now. And he had 86 yards. I get that, but he just doesn't. You know, he doesn't scream one to me, but I hear it every year. I hear how people are so high on him, and I just don't understand it. Laviska Shenault is a good gadget guy, but that's pretty much what he is. He's a gadget guy. Marvin Jones is Marvin Jones. He's consistent. He's okay. You know, he'd make a good third receiver on any team. I don't think you want him as your two, you know. James Robinson got less carries than Carlos Hyde this game. James Robinson, I mean, I might be crazy here, but James Robinson is 3 times as talented as Carlos Hyde is, especially at this point in their careers. How is he not leading the team in carries?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Completely. I mean, Carlos Hyde he was in San Francisco for a while, right?
Yeah.
As part of that, 3-headed monster they had up there. Yeah, I mean, Robinson, without a doubt, should be the number one running back on that team. And especially with Travis Etienne not being there. Obviously, I mean, Travis Etienne is a freak in the backfield. But yeah, when you don't have him, James Robinson should be your guy that you're going to 15, 20 times a game.
Yeah, and then that defense, I mean, they're facing the Texans. People had the Texans going 0-17. And like you said, shout out to Tyrod Taylor. He's a good backup that you can throw in there, and he'll not lose you games. They made Tyrod Taylor look like the second coming of fucking Steve Young. And that's a defense that features Miles Jack, Josh Allen, the defensive end. Shaquille Griffin, is that who that is? Yeah, Shaquille Griffin. This is supposed to be a decent defense.
Over this offseason, yeah.
So what are we doing in Jacksonville? I just don't know. And that's, like I said, it's the Andrew Luck effect. It's a talentless team getting a once-in-a-generation talent. And if it keeps up like this, I mean, the Colts hung on to Chuck Pagano. I mean, nice guy by all accounts. They held on to him for a couple years too long. Are the Jags going to make the same mistake and hang on to Urban Meyer a couple years too long? And again, this could all be overreaction because it's week 1. We don't know. We're basing this off of one regular season game. The first game for coach, first game for quarterback. It was never going to be pretty. But to lose like that and look that bad as a team against the Houston Texans, who went 4-12 last year with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, says a lot about your team. It says a lot about your team.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I think Jacksonville had the 2 seasons, right? They had the terrifying defense, right? You had all these guys. You had Ramsey down there. They went to an AFC championship game, right? And then the next season, it's like, what happened? You went to an AFC championship game with Blake Bortles at quarterback. And then all of a sudden, it's just they sell the farm and we're here now. And like you said, first game of the season, rookie quarterback, first-time coach in the NFL. But where do they go from here? I don't think they have an answer for that. I think it's, look at our quarterback. He's going to save us. And Trevor Lawrence is sitting there like, what do you want me to do? I can't throw the ball 50 times every game and expect to, pull something magical off, So it's just I think the Jags are in a lot of trouble. I don't think they have any fix anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, final thought on this, but We're looking at Dak Prescott and how many times he threw in that game and saying this is not sustainable. He cannot do this every game. Dak Prescott is a 4 or 5 year veteran of the league. The Jacksonville Jaguars are looking at a rookie and saying, hey, can you do what Dak Prescott did for the Cowboys every single game? Can't happen. Against the Texans? The Texans. Like, that's the craziest part about this whole thing. It's the fucking Houston Texans. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so let's move on. Pause for a minute because
the temptation when you get the vibration won't do you no good.